Hi, Simon and Liza. Awesome for you guys to be here with us and to have a chat about the Karhunkierros Trail. We're really looking forward to having a chat with you guys.
Yeah, the same goes for us. We're
Yes.
glad to be able to share our adventure
Yes.
with you
Awesome.
guys.
Perfect.
Maybe to start off, would you be able to tell a little bit about yourself and what made you start the hike or have a passion for hiking?
Mm.
Okay, it started with me actually.
Yeah.
I'm a travel guide here in Belgium. So one of my fellow travel guides asked me like, "Oh, I really want to do this trail, but I'm searching for some people to join me." So that was a year before we actually did the hike. So that started with that, but I wasn't sure because it was kind of hard. So I was not sure because I'm also have hasn't got the experience. That was my first winter hike, so that's why. And then a few months later, a few months later, we talked about it again and again. I was like, oh, we really should do this.
Mhm.
And then you joined in.
Yeah, you asked me to join in. I
Yes.
think 2 or 3 months before we did the hike,
Yes.
because there was only one. Carl was the only other guy, I think, and then there were
Yes.
you and then two
we,
other
we were with
women.
all girls, so we were like, maybe we should add some more guys. That would be like better. But we didn't want a big group because it's a winter hike. There are huts, so we had to be like in a group, but not too big. So around 5 or 6. So in the end, we left with 5.
Yeah, 5.
We did the hike with 5. Yes. So that's actually how it started. It wasn't my idea, but yeah, it was with some friends.
Oh yeah, first you tagged along in the idea, and then I
Yeah,
jumped in last minute.
yeah,
Yeah.
kind of last. Yes, yes. So that's how it went. I
Yeah.
think, yeah.
And you said it was your first winter experience. Have you hiked any other long distance trails before, or was this your really first multi-day hike experience in general?
For me, I think it was my first multi-day hike. No, I did like 2 days. So like the
Did you do
short
one in
ones.
Colombia?
In Colombia, no, in Colombia, I did 3 days.
Yeah.
Yes, I did like the Lost City trek in Colombia. So you have one in Peru, but you also have one in Colombia, and that was like very. Yeah, you don't have anything except for some clothes and just you go with it. So there were huts as well. So that I did have experience with, and I did like the Tongariro crossing in New Zealand. So I had done a few hikes already, but like the multiple days in snow, that was new for me.
Yeah.
For you as well, eh?
Yeah, for me, it was my first multi-day hike.
Yeah.
I hadn't done any. I didn't have really have any experience hiking, so it was my first multi-day hike, and immediately also my first hike in the middle of winter in Lapland. So for me, it was the biggest challenge, I think. All the other people in our group were really experienced hikers.
2 of them were
or at least two of them.
very experienced, and one was less experienced, and then we were also a little bit less experienced.
Yeah, and
But
then
it was a good mix, I think, because it would be hard to do it just like on your own without experience, without any experience.
yeah,
So
without the experience of Karol and Jalke, those were the two most experienced. Without their experience, it would have been a bad idea
I wouldn't have done it, I think.
to start a hike. Because,
No,
yeah,
no,
No,
but
because-
sorry.
No, go ahead.
Okay, so so we were 5. So there was one guy who already did the winter hike. There was a girl who did the hike in summer already, but in summer it's like a very easy 3-day hike. It's like not really like very hard, but it's like a nice walk. So 3-day walk, yes. And then another girl, she didn't have experience. So, but one of the girls did how is it called again? The PC.
PCT.
The PCT. She
Okay,
walked the
yeah.
PCT.
It was the one who did it in the Karhunkierros in summer.
Yeah.
Did the PCT.
Yes,
So
that's
she,
how it
she did the
went, yeah.
PCT for like I think she walked it in 6 months.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
Wow.
she was really experienced, and she did the PCT solo
Yes. Yes.
as well. So I think she is the most experienced
Yes.
hiker of them all. And then Carl already did the Karhunkierros in winter, but with a big group.
With a big group,
I think of
yes.
12 or 13 people.
Yes.
Wow.
And he wanted to do it again with a smaller group.
Mhm.
He said at one point that it's more fun to do it in a smaller group than in a big group. Big group brings a lot more challenges with it as well.
Oh yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially because you said there's cabins, so
Yeah.
probably you
Yeah.
would fit with, well, you might fit it with 13 people, but
Comfortable is different.
Yeah.
No, because the very last night it was very tight with the
Yeah.
5 of us. We were like almost laying on top of each other.
Oh.
So very, very, very cozy. I think it was 35 degrees in there.
Yeah,
Because it was so
it really depends on the cabin. We've had cabins where you could easily
Yes.
accommodate 20 people, I
Yes,
think.
yes.
But then we had like the last cabin.
Yeah, it was so small.
It was at the place, and there were 2 cabins
Yeah,
there. So if you were with a big group, you just had to spread up between the 2 cabins. But yeah, as we were only with 5, we used 1 cabin. But it's a really small cabin, and you have this wooden stoves to heat up the cabins. But because it was really small, and we were with 5 people,
Yes.
and we were all practically always inside, it got hot really fast. So it's 40 degrees inside. And then for me, that was the worst night because I didn't really get any sleep because
No.
I'm quite a dynamic sleeper. I roll around a lot.
Yes.
And if you're stuck between 2 people and you
Yeah,
have
it's gotta
like
be hard.
only space for your body and you can't even roll to your other side, it was a really bad night for me.
Yeah, that was hard.
Luckily, it was the last night.
Yes.
Can imagine.
so during the whole trail you stayed in cabins, or did you also bring camping gear and you camped outside?
Well, we stayed in the cabins because it's in the winter in Lapland. It is really cold. It can get to minus 20, minus 30 degrees.
More, yeah.
Even colder. But camping gear we had a bit of camping gear with us. We had a mat to sleep on, and then a sleeping bag who could withstand the cold.
Yes.
I think till
Up to minus 40,
minus
I think.
40.
Okay.
Just to be sure. We had like an emergency blanket with us. We had all the tools to sleep outside.
Yeah.
Just you
Just
never
in case.
know.
Yeah.
But we didn't do it if it wasn't necessary. No.
So Carl thought about it the last night because
One guy thought
were
about
like
it.
these shelters,
The lean shelters.
lean shelters.
Yeah.
You could sleep under, but then it's just a big opening at one side and then a diagonal roof. And he thought about doing it, sleeping outside, but he didn't because then he had to start a fire as well. Otherwise, it would be too cold. So he eventually decided to just sleep inside.
Like in summer, there are cabins, there are camping spots, there are lean shelters, there is everything, and it's actually quite crowded in summer. It's one of the most popular hikes over there in summer, but not in winter. but in summer, it's very, because the girl who did it already, she said like, wow, it's such a big difference.
Yeah, in winter there's also some parts of the track you can't really access.
No, it's another trail actually in winter than it is in summer, because some parts are just too dangerous. It's there's a lot of water, for example, so it's never it's just too dangerous. So they make another trail.
So they create these trails then with the snow scooter.
A little part of it is to maintained.
Bypass certain really risky ventures, because not all rivers are frozen over well enough to be able to
Cross.
walk.
Pass it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Cross. Well, not actually cross, but if you in summer you can clearly see where the river is and where the path is. But in
But the
winter
path,
you can't.
yeah, and the path is next to the water, so it's very dangerous just to step out of your trail and into the water
Yeah.
next to it.
And yeah, if you fall in the water, I think at -20, I'm not sure how long you can
Yes,
stay in.
and
But
there's no mobile coverage. It's just too dangerous. There's
Yeah.
nothing. If you get stuck there, someone actually has to come up there and take you back.
Yeah.
And it's
So, yeah.
almost impossible actually.
yeah, even with a helicopter, it would take you quite a while
Yeah.
to get to
Yeah.
you. So if you had an emergency, you were on your own actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, those winter trails are part of, and they are on the map as well. I think Karel had a map with all the winter trails as well. So they always do the same winter trails or paths.
Oh yeah.
It's always the same.
It's
So,
always
but
the
it's a
same.
bit different. The trail is a bit different in winter than in summer.
Yes.
Yeah. And even though it was your first experience, and I can imagine because it's up so far north and it's indeed that cold, days are pretty short.
Yes.
How was both your experiences? How did you enjoy the trail?
I really enjoyed it, but I'm not really the type of person who suffers from cold. There wasn't really a moment that I thought, now I really have cold or anything. So I really enjoyed it. Also, the weather was a bit softer than usual in Lapland. We talked to someone who was living there, and he said, yeah, normally around this time of year, it's -20, -25. And at that time, it was -1, -2.
At one point it was even raining, so that's
okay.
very bad. Yes, so well, we had one day with -20, but there were most of the days were -10, -5, but that was actually too warm.
We had a lot of luck with the weather as well. It's not that we were stuck in a whiteout or snowstorms.
Okay.
No.
We really had a lot
It was
of
just
luck.
like
Yeah, some days were a
normal.
bit grayer than others, but
Yes.
we even had quite a lot of sun. I remember that one time we were hiking uphill, and we had this amazing view of the sun just coming a bit above the crest of the hill. And yeah, there was really amazing views. I have this photo of you where you walking in front of me, and then with the sun. That's one thing I really remember. But yeah, it was really nice. I would do it again. Actually, I would like to do it again.
I remember. I remember the first night, the first day actually, when we arrived at the cabin. It was actually the hardest day because it was the first time we didn't really know what should we do first, what next. So we came there to the cabin. The cabin was cold because there was no one in front of us. So we took off our clothes because it's gonna get warm here. No, it didn't. So after like 20 minutes, we were starting to feel very, very cold. So that was rookie mistake 1. So never just take your clothes off because you're tired and just arrived. No, you have to keep warm. Just cut the wood. Just
heat up the cabin.
Heat up and heat up the water. Cook the water. Just keep busy. So you stay warm actually. So that was. For me, it was a challenge in the beginning. Like, how do we do that? Keeping warm. But actually, it's quite easy because you go to the basics. Because you're in nature. There's nothing really except for keeping warm, sleep, eat, repeat. That kind of stuff. But that's a good thing because you keep warm. So that's something I remembered. So the second night, I was already. We did a lot better. So that was a good thing. What I also remember was just going in the middle of a lake, trying to get some water because rookie mistake 2. In the beginning, we tend to melt the snow into water and heat it up, but it took so long. And for 5 people, that's a lot of water actually. Yeah, to start from snow, that was actually very bad because we learned snow is isolating itself to stay cold. So it's like a natural isolation layer around the snowflake. So it takes very, very, very long to melt snow. And when you have like a pan of snow, at the end you have that much of water.
Yeah,
So yeah.
not much.
Yeah.
Not
So
much.
when we had a lake, we would go up there and get some water, and that way it would go a lot faster. But one day we went on a very, very big lake in the middle, and we just saw it. It has been days since there was someone there. I could a hole in it, and the sun. There was a beautiful sunset, and
Yeah, it was also amazing.
yeah, it was amazing. And then, especially the next day in the morning, we were like, oh, get some more water. The lake was already frozen for another 10 centimeters again from one night. And we were like, oh my God, we have to start all over again here.
Yeah.
Cut the hole in the lake, like that kind of stuff.
Well, we at that point we didn't have an axe or something to cut the lake,
No,
so we used
we
a
didn't
big,
have an axe.
big,
No.
wooden stick we found, and I was stomping on the ice until I got through. But
that's
the morning
something,
after, I think it was 10 or 15 centimeters
Yes,
already of ice again.
yes.
So on one night it froze over. The whole was already
Mhm.
completely frozen over again.
Mhm.
But even at night, because at night we went again on the lake for some water, and even then there was like this tiny
Yes,
layer of ice, and
it could get very, very cold at night in the
Yeah.
open spots.
Yeah,
It
for
was,
sure.
yeah. So that was something I remembered. So I'm just thinking. Oh yeah, the last day.
Yeah.
Oh, that was
was the
terrible.
worst day.
It was actually the worst day. We're like, oh, we're almost there. So it was like, I don't know, 2-3 kilometers. But we went on a pace of around 1 or 2 kilometers an hour sometimes.
A bit
So
quicker, I think.
sometimes it depends. But
Yeah.
at the end, we had to climb over a hill. So we would like, okay, it takes a few more hours. But then at the top of the hill, a snowstorm hit pretty hard. So for like last hours, we were challenged.
And we just had
a
to cross the
lot.
hill, and then we were
It was not
the
that
finish.
far actually, but the snowstorm was terrible. It was so cold, but just like in your face, you can feel it like it burns. It's not like I'm really cold because it was a hill. So
Yeah, it was more hail than snow, I think, because it was
I don't know what it was, but it was
small
oh
ice
my God.
shards blowing into your face, and then because there was a lot of wind, all the snow blew over, and there was a lot of loose snow, so it was really hard climbing up.
Yes.
I remember we there were some parts that we had to crawl on our hand and feet to even go further, like for 10 meters.
Yeah, I think I was in the snow up to my hips at some point, just because it was so loose. That was so hard because we were so tired after all those days.
Yeah,
And
that was then after the worst night's sleep.
Actually, it was the same. And then we knew we would end up at
a ski resort.
At the ski resort, Ruka. That's just where a lot of people just go skiing. It was very small, not like we're used to in the Alps or something. We would know we would end up there. So at a very crowded, very crowded spot. So we were searching for the ski lift, but then suddenly we had to climb over a ski slope, uphill again, but that's like, ski slopes are very steep. And I was like, I remember that one. You all were like walking, and I'm like, no, I cannot do this anymore. It needs to end now. It was so terrible because we didn't have a ski pass or anything, so we had to climb over that. Oh my God. And then when we finished the trail, then that was great. We end up in a small village of Ruka. There was a restaurant. There was
We got lost in the ski resort. First, because the
first
trail in summer there are no ski slopes. So the trail is there are it's clear it's not that hard to find a trail then, but in winter there are a lot of ski slopes there. And then at one point we got lost and we were walking on where they do the ski jumps.
Yes.
So at one point we found ourselves at the top of the ski jump thing.
We're so frustrated at that
Everybody
point.
was really frustrated, really tired. And I remember the debate at that point was we had this pulka, so that's a sled. And the debate at that point was, can we just and attach the pulka and put all our stuff on the pulka and just let it go down, and then we follow the down the ski jump. I remember that we had a discussion about doing that because we had to be down at the end, but I think eventually we found it not that good of an idea. I remember having that discussion on top of the ski jump. And then we just tried finding our way to the center of the ski resort.
Yes.
The town actually. And then I remember walking on the ski slopes and all those skiers looking at us like,
what are you doing?
What are you doing here?
Our backpacks and our snowshoes and the pulka.
All those crazy people. Yeah. But also what I also remember was in the middle of the trail, I think after day 3 or 4, we get in the research center. So that's like a spot where there are some people.
That's what I joined
working, but there the people who work there, we saw them again when we end the trail in Ruka, and there was like a festival going on. I don't know, something local
to support the local businesses.
And at that point, we saw the person who helped us in the research center. I don't know with questions about the trail. And we saw her again, and I felt so like welcome and like it was my family. I know those guys and they were my friends, and we were all having coffee together in the snow. The reindeers were there. It was like a small festival in the village with people we know.
It felt like we were part of the locals because we knew some people there because the place where we rented out the pulka was,
the guy was from there was
they were there too, so and they knew the people from the research center as well, so we were like talking, and it felt
that
like
was so cool.
It was really cool because it felt like we were part of the locals.
Very small community up there, I would imagine.
Yes, not
very
a lot
small.
of people there.
No. Actually, a lot of people come there to ski.
Yeah, Ruka is quite popular with the Finnish.
Yes, they all come by plane to go skiing over there. So there's quite a lot of tourism, but the local community is very, very small. But it was, it felt like family at that point. It was very nice actually.
Yeah, those are I think the main things we remember.
Yeah, I was thinking. I think that was kind of,
And then the days were pretty short, I imagine. Did you guys hike through the night or no?
Really, it's really risky.
It's very dangerous
because you had to follow the signs, and they were those orange spots, I think, orange on the trees. But at night, you can't as easily see them, and if you miss one, you can end up somewhere.
Even during the day, we got not lost, but we lost track of the orange dots. We had like a GPS just in case, but sometimes it was so hard because they were under snow. We just couldn't see them. So no, at night was a terrible idea. Actually,
Yeah, but it's part of the reason why we had the sleeping bag to go up to -40.
Yeah, just in case we couldn't make it for some reason.
Yeah, because if you're going from one hut to the other and you end up in a snowstorm or you lose track and it's dark, really bad idea to continue on in the dark. So then you had to be able to dig in.
Yes.
Use your emergency blankets, then your sleeping mats, then the sleeping bag, and then isolate as much as you can and hold on. Good morning. So that's the reason why we had a sleeping bag. I think that's the one piece of gear we didn't compromise on. Nobody did.
No.
Because those sleeping bags are really expensive. Luckily, we could rent them.
Yes.
But that's the one piece of gear nobody compromised on because in case of emergency, that would save your life.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And the other most important piece of gear were snowshoes, I think.
The snowshoes, yes.
Because
Yeah.
I remember at one point I tried, because you're walking on these trails and you have these snowshoes on, but you're just walking on a trail and you think this is quite hard snow, or it
Yeah, you
almost
wanted to
seems
try it, eh?
it almost seems like you wouldn't need snowshoes. So I untied my snowshoes and then I tried walking, and I was up to my knees in the snow. So snowshoes make a really big difference.
Yes,
It
is.
makes make sure that you can stand on top of snow instead of having to plow through.
But even because the first 3 days we were with only 3. They joined with 2 of them. They joined only after 3 days at a research center. So we started with 3, but there was no one in front of us, so we couldn't see the trail. So I was covered in snow just around my knees or hip. Or
you had to create your own trail.
We had to make our own trail, and at that moment we went on a pace of 1 kilometer an hour for like 3 days in a row. So that was so hard, because it was like using the stairs every time, by every step. That was actually a hard beginning of the whole trail. That was. I remember the first I don't know 20 meters. There was already a stair down the trail, and even that was a challenge. It took us half an hour, I think, to get down there, because we didn't know what is here. Where is it? Where is the trail? And we got lost like the first hour already, because we couldn't see anything. That was actually kind of a strange feeling, that you just didn't know. There's only snow. There's no trail, nothing. But then at the research center, where with 2 of them joined us, a group of 15 people or 10 people, they took over. So we stayed in the research center for like 2 days. 2 days.
You stayed 2 nights, and you arrived at the research center. You stayed a night, and then we joined.
Yes.
Then we stayed for another night at the research center, and then we went our way again.
Yeah.
And during that time, I think it was
the group passed us.
I think it was a group of 10 Dutch people.
Dutch people. We heard them, we saw them, so we're like, okay, maybe they go in front of us. She's here again. But that made the trail a lot easier. They had 10 people to make the trail as well. We were only with 3, so it was very hard, because every like 10 minutes you had to swap places. With 10, okay, that's easier.
It's only the first one who has to
make the trail.
So it's hard for the first one. The second one has it a bit easier, but sometimes still hard. But by the time you get to the third one, it's easy. Normally it's easy. But if you're with 10, it's 3 people who are having a bit harder time, and the other 7 can just walk and rest a bit. But if you're only with 3, you're constantly changing position, and it's really tiring.
It was actually nice that after 3 days we knew we would be in the research center, where there's like a small cafe, showers. Yes, showers are also very important, and also just take some rest, because we didn't know yet the first 3 days. We don't know how it will go, so we took an extra day also for them to join us. But it was good that we took an extra day, and especially when the group took over, that was easier. We saw it immediately. We started the trail, and we were like, there are already footsteps. That's interesting.
It was really funny, because I and Jalke and me, we joined later because of our flights, and we had some stuff to do for work the week before, so we could only join during the weekend. We joined later, but when you arrived,
we were complaining about the trail.
I got all these messages about how hard it was, and you have to plow through the snow. And then we arrived, and then like the first day it was like a trail made. So we just I think the first stage was was also a really short one. So I think after 2 or 3 hours we were already at the next hut.
Very fast.
So it was like, this isn't that hard. It was really funny, because
we're like, no, really, there was no trail. It was
Yeah.
hard.
And then because we were so early at the hut we wanted, it was like an hour, I think at 1 p.m. we were arrived at the hut already, so we still had 2 or 3
Yeah, we
hours
had some
of sunlight.
time. Yeah.
So what do you do when you're hiking and you have 2 or 3 hours of sunlight?
Go hiking.
You go for a walk. So we dropped our gear in the hut, started warming up the hut, making sure that there was a fire
Yeah,
going.
but also when we arrived at the hut, it was still warm. And that was something new for us. We're like, warm. Well, it was not that cold as,
Not that
as
cold, yeah.
yeah. So we were like, oh, okay, that's nice. A group in front of us.
Yeah. So the other group was a day ahead. So
A day ahead, yeah.
actually at each hut we arrived,
They just left.
they had just left the morning. So we arrived at the afternoon,
3
evening.
o'clock, yeah.
And that morning the other group had just left. So if we were lucky and the hut was a bit smaller, it was actually still hot.
And yeah. Even the wood was still burning. I remember.
Sometimes
some
the wood,
huts.
sometimes the wood was even still burning.
Oh, that's nice.
But then at the second day I was on the trail, we when we did the extra walk, you guys
Yes.
went into off the trail, so into the deep snow, and then that's really hard. So then I experienced a little bit of how
we
your
wanted to
first
show
day
them
went.
like this is how it was in the beginning of the trail. Try. Yeah.
So then
That
you
was
have to
nice.
take these really big steps. So like those not kind of jumping jacks, but you know the exercise that you have to lift your knees.
Yeah.
That's how you walk in the deep.
Okay.
So
High knees all the way. Yeah.
yeah, high knees all the way.
Yes.
And then with a
All
heavy
there's
backpack.
snow everywhere. Sorry.
And then with a heavy backpack.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you fall with a backpack, indeed, someone else had to like
Lift you up.
lift
again.
you up
Yeah.
with the backpack to keep
because
going.
the snow was too loose, so you couldn't push
No.
on the snow. If you put your hands to push yourself up, you just
Just dig in. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's also why you can't do the trail alone in winter.
No. But we had the pulka with us with all our foods. Because it's winter, so there's nothing to really catch or something. But Jelke, like the girl who did the PCT, she learned us a lot about dried foods. So before we left, we made our own dried foods meals.
Yeah, we had a menu for each.
We had a menu, we had a whole plan set up, also with like the hours of sunlight that you mentioned already. We knew exactly that day we have 10 minutes extra. Like every day there were 10 minutes extra, so that goes fast. At the end of the trail, we had almost like an hour extra.
More than an hour, I think.
It was crazy,
really
actually.
crazy.
Yeah.
And then with dried foods, we made our own meals, our own foods. So for us, that was that was new. So that was new information. So I learned a lot about that as well.
Especially what you can do, because
what you can do, yes.
You would imagine on a trail like that, there's a lot of rice and pasta. But at one point we even had sausages, so dried sausages, and then you added some water, mix it a bit with puree, I think. So those packets, mashed potatoes in a packet. It was almost like a normal meal, and it was
sometimes it felt like we were in a restaurant. We didn't know we would eat that well on the trail. Actually, that was nice.
I was prepared for eating Aiki noodles for a whole week, but
no,
I was pleasantly surprised.
And we took a little bit of what did we do? We made like kind of small Irish
coffee.
Irish coffees.
We had a small bottle of whiskey with us, and we rationed everything. So every day
that was illegal. We could not do that. But it was just like for the end of the day, like with some hot chocolate or something. So and we had marshmallows with us. I don't know. We took so many random things with us.
It was a luxury trail.
Sometimes it felt like luxury. Yeah. That was cool.
At what time did the sun set initially?
I think
in the first days it was around
3:15, 3:30.
Okay, really early.
Yeah, and by the end it was almost 4:30.
Yeah.
by the end. So here in Belgium, if you in winter, one day to the other is like a difference of 1 minute
Yeah,
or 2
1 or 2
minutes.
minutes.
Correct.
Yeah.
But then one day is a different, one day the difference is 10, 15, sometimes even
Yeah.
20 minutes. So you really see the days
Yeah.
getting longer and
Yeah.
longer.
So
Same-
we were prepared for that. We knew like, okay, this is gonna be a long day, but okay, we only have the amount of time. So we knew like, okay, we really need to keep going just the moment the sun rises. So we timed
yeah,
that.
there was a day that we had to leave when the
Yeah.
sun when the sun
Rises, yeah.
rises.
Yeah.
And if we arrived at the cabin, the next cabin, I think a few minutes. Even
Yeah.
I think even a few minutes after the sun had set.
Yeah, I think
Mm.
so.
The-
Yeah.
Okay.
But after that, it's pitch black. So yeah.
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 So yeah,
Yeah.
the period between the sunset and the pitch blackness takes a bit longer. there.
Longer. Yeah.
So in
We have
Belgium,
actually more
in
time.
Belgium, we're used to like having the time between
Mhm.
sunset and it being
Yeah.
really dark, like half an hour or something.
There
There
it
it's
took
up to an
long.
hour. So if the sun
Yeah.
sets at 3, then there you have a bit of light
Yes,
still
that's
left
true.
till I think 4.
Yeah.
So that you could use, and at one point we needed
Yeah.
the extra margin
Mhm.
Yeah.
to arrive at the cabin. But after that, it's pitch black
Yeah.
because there's
Yeah.
no light pollution from a city nearby or anything. There's
No,
nothing.
no.
No.
So if you're lucky, you have the moon. But
Yeah.
in winter in Finland, you don't see the moon that often. It's a really cloudy period over there as well. So, but if you're lucky, you have
Yeah.
the moon.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. Evenings are then relatively long, I can imagine, or because you're not going to bed at 6. Or
No. Yeah, but because if you arrive at the cabin just before the sun sets, so then like Lisa already mentioned, you have to heat
And
up
a
the
lot of
cabin,
work. Still.
chop wood,
Yeah.
collect water, get the fire going, make your bed for the
Yes.
night,
Yeah.
Yes, all
Yeah.
that.
change clothes, because if your clothes are a bit wet, the first thing you have to
Dry
do
them.
is
Yeah.
change your clothes so you can dry them, because you always need to have a pair of dry clothes.
Have all your clothes and all your bags in
High-
the ceiling, high up,
Yeah.
Yeah.
because we did have a mouse,
Yeah, you
mice
can- you
at some
can-
point.
in some cabins there
Yeah.
were some families of mice living there.
Yep.
So
That
we
we
had
are.
to take that in account, and then cook our meal. Eat. Then I think at around 7, maybe the dinner was done, and
Yeah.
then we started
Usually
playing board
pretty
games.
early, yeah.
Yeah, and then for the rest of the night,
Some
we-
code names. We played a
Okay.
lot of code names.
Yeah.
At some point, we just knew what the other would say, and
Yes, because we played these board games where you have to be team up, and it was really funny because in the beginning you don't really know your teammate that well. At least in the game we knew each other, but for the game we didn't know it. But by the end, you had these teams that were like the really coordinated teams.
yes.
But then we played board games or did some crossword puzzles
Yes. Yeah.
under our headlights, because the only thing you have to light, we had to light the cabins were like these or small headlights.
Yeah.
So we hang them on the ceiling as well,
Yes.
those headlights, to have some kind of lightning.
Yeah.
But
And then-
we went to bed quite early
Yeah,
because
we
we were
went to bed
tired.
quite
So,
early.
but we had a long night's sleep, and that was actually
Yeah.
good.
Usually we had
We
a long
did
night
that,
of sleep. So
yeah.
I think the latest we went to bed is maybe 10 o'clock, and we
I
got
think
up
so.
at around 7. So
Yeah, but the evenings are very long. So
Yeah.
at some point you're like, nah,
after
tomorrow
our
is
fifth
another day.
crossword puzzle,
yeah.
we kind of had it with the crossword puzzle. So
Yeah.
yeah. And sometimes we were on the lookout for trying to see the northern lights, but
It was so cloudy
yeah.
that period of.
The one night there was a
Yeah.
lot of activity, but then it was also the most cloudy
Yeah.
night of them all. So we didn't got to see the northern lights.
That's a shame.
Yes. Sad that we didn't see it
Yes.
actually.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Was really hoping to see it because I went to Iceland a couple of years before, and I also in winter, and I didn't get to see it there because it was too cloudy over there as well. So I was really hoping to be able to see the northern lights. but I'll have to go
No.
back
Yeah.
again.
Mhm.
Well,
So,
sounds
yeah.
like an amazing adventure, though.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. It has been a year already that
It
we
was
did.
this time last year, exactly 1 year
Exactly,
ago.
yeah.
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 We
True.
were on the trail.
Yep.
So, yeah.
And when the whole situation is over, what are the future plans? When traveling is allowed again, and
Oh, I hope so.
We were hoping if everything opens up that we maybe can go to Iceland.
yeah, we want to go to
in-
Iceland.
in
I've
the
never
summer.
been there, so
And there we might be able to do the there's this one hike in Iceland. I always forget.
yeah,
the
there's a
name.
hike in Iceland.
Laugavur?
Yeah, that's the one.
We
Yeah.
want to do that
yeah,
one, yeah.
Probably we'll do that one when if we can get there. But
Yeah.
then we'll have to get there by the latest, I think September. Otherwise,
Yes, we have some time still.
So hopefully we
Fingers
will be able
crossed,
to.
yeah.
yeah. So there we would have been to Vietnam in November, but yeah, we all knew what happens. so
Yeah.
so
This time last year we had the plan to go to Vietnam
Yeah.
in November, but then
no, Mrs. Rona was here. So yeah.
by the time we were going to start planning, I think it was March.
We
Just
started
when the
planning.
pandemic hit, we were starting
Yeah.
to look at flights and what
Yeah.
we were going to do, but then Corona hit, so
Yeah. So yeah,
we all had the idea probably last March that we could definitely travel by the end of the year, but
Yeah.
yeah.
yes, true.
Yeah.
So yeah,
We'll see.
We're a bit careful with planning for now.
Yeah.
Situation has changed quick, so hopefully
Yeah.
it changes quick for the better as well.
For the better as
Yeah.
well, yeah. Fingers crossed, let's hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, hopefully Iceland and I forgot the name already again.
The Laugavur Trail,
yeah.
if that's
Yeah.
also the way you pronounce it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in Iceland it's even harder to pronounce certain things. So, but hopefully we can do it in the summer.
Mhm.
So maybe.
And for those watching this interview, what would be the one tip that you would like to give them if they intend on hiking the trail in Finland?
Yeah, don't compromise on your sleeping bag because it's the one thing that can save you in case of emergency. Snowshoes are crucial if you're doing it in winter. And I think other than that, just enjoy the peace and quiet because it's so quiet on the trail. If you go out at night, you don't hear anything.
That's true.
Here in Belgium, if you go out at night, there's always some highway.
There's always something, yeah.
And there it's just quiet. Enjoy the scenery because it's a very beautiful scenery.
Yeah, it's very diverse actually, the trail. You have like everything. You can see some animals. There is open spaces, a lot of trees. You have kind of
you have dense forests. You have hills that are almost small mountains almost.
Small mountains at that point,
and then you have these plains, wide open plains, where if you're unlucky, wind can hit you really hard.
Yeah.
Yes, we had that somehow.
Yeah, because in winter you don't really notice it, but some parts of the trail go through swamps. So in summer there's a lot of mosquitoes around the trail, but in winter you don't really have mosquitoes. But you also don't notice that you're walking through a swamp or anything. So the wide open plains are actually swamps, I think. But then the most part of the trail is in forest and it's a bit hilly. You have these really beautiful small bridges crossing small streams that are really cool. And enjoying the scenery if you're doing it.
Yeah.
I would also say like don't be afraid that you would be too cold. I have cold all the time, so that was like the main concern of the woman in the trail. Like, oh no, that's gonna be cold. But actually, if you keep walking, you're warm. So the first thing you need to do when you're cold, just do a quick walk, just go to the toilet even because that's
If you're-
outside.
if you're cold, you
you're
have to,
warm
you
because
have to keep moving. I think.
yeah,
that's
and
an-
just from dressing up, you get warm because of all the layers. I only wore, for example, 2 or 3 layers in the beginning, 3 layers, but I had to take them off because I was sweating, and that's the worst.
yeah,
to
it's-
get
it's
cold.
Maybe that's a good tip as
So
well.
I think
Avoid
that's the-
getting
yeah.
wet.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
if you're wet or your clothes are wet,
Yeah.
you get cold really quick. Then you can get really cold.
And when you're hiking and you're sweating, the first thing you need to do is take layers off. Even though you think, oh my God, it's -10, I need to take layers off. That's not gonna happen.
Always
Yes,
work in
you have to
layers.
do it because otherwise, yes, you're just cold and wet clothes don't dry that fast. But yeah, I don't think you have to be afraid to
No.
have
Okay.
to be cold. Just be careful when you arrive at your hut that you don't just sit and think you'll get warm. That's
Yeah.
all.
Yeah, that's temperature inside the hut can be the same as the
Yes, it's the
temperature
same.
outside the hut.
Outside,
So,
yeah.
Sometimes, yes.
Mhm.
So that's I think one. Yeah.
and
That's it.
avoid getting wet. And if you're cold, keep moving.
Mhm.
And then get a sleeping bag that can save your life.
Yeah, I think
I
so.
think
Yeah.
those are the most important things.
Mm.
Yeah.
Backlight.
Backlight.
Backlight. Because you have to carry everything with you, and that's
Yeah.
something we did as well. And before we left, just try to walk that amount of kilometers with your backpack. I
Mhm.
think you have to do that every time you go on a hike, wherever
yeah.
or whenever. But if you have to carry your backpack all day, it's good to have a proper backpack with not too much stuff in it, but also that your shoulders get a little
Mm.
used to
Used to it.
having that weight
Yeah.
all the time on your shoulders. But that's something you always have to do with your backpack, I think.
Yeah, get a
So,
good fitting backpack. I think is also
yeah,
important.
fitting.
Definitely
Because
for-
sometimes you have the wrong one, but then yeah, for a multiple day hike, I think that's
Oh,
one of the
that's
things
definitely
to
important
do.
for sure.
Yeah.
And
but
if you're in doubt if you should take something, just leave it
yeah,
at
don't
home
do
because you
it.
probably
Also for every hike or for every
if you're
time
doubting
you
if
go.
you should take it with you, just leave it at home because you won't need it.
No, we just really had just the basics with us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dry clothes.
Dry
Use it.
clothes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Dry
I
stuff.
think a lot of tips.
So that is our one tip.
Be prepared.
yeah. But
Yeah.
that's something we did a lot, like preparing. We had like multiple days, and we also went on a weekend to plan the
Yeah.
trip. It needs a lot of planning, a lot more, I think, than just a regular summer hike.
Yeah.
Even though it's multiple days because of the weather. But that's
There's a bigger risk in winter
bigger
than in
risk.
summer.
Yeah.
So it's good for us that we had some people that really knew what to think about. So without them, I don't think I would be able to do it the way we did it. I think.
No, without the experience of Karel and especially
Yeah.
Karel and Jelke to an extent, it would have been a bad idea if you're try to have also at least someone in the group that has some experience with hikes like that and listen to those people.
Yeah.
They say something, listen. If they
because
say it's a bad idea to something, then
like Carl, he's a pilot, so when it comes to
a pilot in the army. So.
to know where we are, we're like, you do that. You know it best. So yeah, you have to trust each other. That's
Yeah.
also, yeah.
And build on each other.
Enough tips.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you so much. Is there anything that we didn't touch on that you would like to share?
I want to go again.
And now I want to go again as well.
No, I think we got it all covered.
Is there also a place where viewers can find you guys online to follow the adventures?
Yes, definitely. At this moment, it's tiki photography. No, Sticky Point Photography. That's my handle, but I will send it to you because it's maybe a little bit hard to pronounce or to understand.
That's on Instagram.
That's on Instagram. Yes, I'll make a lot of photographs of my trips, so you can find it there.
Yeah.
Yes, perfect.
Awesome.
Sounds good.
Do you have any more questions for us?
Oh, not at this stage,
No.
I think. Thank you so much,
Thank you so much for the
sharing everything.
Yeah,
It was
for the
amazing.
stories. It was really cool to hear.
My pleasure.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much for your time, and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
Thank
Very
you.
well.
You too.
Thank you.